All right, let's go ahead and open in prayer and then we'll move on. God, I just thank you so much for another week to have a team call together and for all of the ambassadors that are on live or listening to the recording later. I just pray that as we end February, that you would give us new energy and fresh excitement and momentum and confidence and belief that we really do have what it takes to end February on a strong note. I just pray for everyone that's working really hard in the trenches, God. You know what that work looks like, and you know the ups and the highs that we experience, and also the lows and the frustrations, and just kind of trying to trudge through the mud and figure this all out. And so I just pray that you would meet all of us where we are today. And that you would help us to choose a solutions oriented, positive mindset. Help us to keep going, even when it takes a little extra work, even when we don't have it all figured out. Just give us that extra energy to keep pushing through, and really have the discipline to stick with this. I pray that you'd give us just creativity as we finish out our posting for the month, that you would help us to share our stories in a way that is really able to draw others in to help them solve problems in their own lives too. I pray that this call is productive and that you would just help us to lean in and encourage one another. In your name we pray. Amen. Okay, so let's go ahead and get going. So, how's everyone doing? I'd love for us all to pop in the chat, just little, check in. How are you doing? How's your mindset? Where are you at to end the month? Like maybe we could do this. One positive thing in your business right now and one thing that you're like a little bit struggling with. If there's those two things, I'd love to know just kind of where everyone's at. So feel free to start popping those in the chat while I kind of open us up here. So yeah, today I really want to focus a little bit on recruiting and talk about, kind of the Roger call, how that went, and how we can continue to use that recording for the future. And just the importance of recruiting in general that I am being reminded of right now. And then I also want to talk about the 5 day reset and how we can really end February strong with that and really like set that hard deadline so that we can all hit our February goals. Um, Cassie is saying she's stressed about hitting her goal, but knows where she needs to take action. Follow-ups being the main thing. Yes, I love that. The great thing of like when you're stressed about a goal is obviously you cannot control the result, but you can always control your behavior. And I just love that thought of going, okay, like I don't need to stress about the actual numbers. Like, of course, we want to get there, but what we can do is focus on, the behavior that we can take to get to where we want to go. And regardless of the outcome, focusing on taking the action that you can today is always going to be better than going, oh, it feels too far away. I'm defeated. I'm going to withdraw. I'm going to like just kind of chill, right? Because that doesn't feel good to anybody. So, okay, let me just read through these comments here. Colleen is 152 away from director. Oh, that's awesome. You're right there. I know you will do it. You always, I think I said this in one of the chats, but Colleen always finds a way. She's like, figures it out. I love that about her. She has two new ambassadors, which is so awesome. That's so, so huge, to have the new ambassadors. That's awesome. Um, Katie says that she's loving the energy and efforts of the team of ladies she's working with, and it's a work in progress, getting into a recruiting groove and inviting to the opportunity. Yes, and I love that you said it's a work in progress. That's so true because that's really how it is. That's just a fact of like getting back into recruiting, or if you've never focused on recruiting, focusing on it for the first time, it is like a new skill set to kind of figure out. And so it doesn't happen overnight. You aren't all of a sudden going to sign up 100 people, but as you work through the process, you'll have wins along the way that kind of keep you going. So that's awesome. Tracy said the no's are coming in like crazy, but she's feeling good knowing she's making moves to move her business forward. And Tracy, you have had such an awesome month. I mean, you really started to take a lot of action this month and it is showing, and you should be so proud of what you're doing. I mean, you absolutely crushed that beauty event. And, it's totally normal in this business to have like that high and then to have a few days where it's like, oh man, crickets, like, is this going to work out? And so just keep the faith, keep, working hard. I 100% believe that you're going to end the month really, really strong. So keep your mindset there. Bobby Joe said the positive is that she is working on messaging ladies in her wellness community to see how she can help them. I love that. That's so important to have those one-on-one touch points. The struggle is that what was working for me doesn't seem to be in struggling with sales this month. Okay, we're going to talk about that today because I don't think you're alone in that. If you've been around for a few months, a lot of people are feeling that, and that's totally normal. So it's nothing having to do with you personally. That's just the business. So we'll talk about that. So I'm glad you brought that up. And yes, Colleen, you're very scrappy. I love scrappy people. I love it. Danny said, as the days and months happen with leadership of Katie and everyone being super new and building, she's having lots of conversations, getting more eyes, and lots of happy people and connections. That's so awesome, Danielle. You're doing so great. I like love seeing all of your stuff pop up. And she said she's nervous about the goal, but lots is happening in her messenger, in person, and in text. That is awesome. And I love that you guys are all working together. I know that like you can do this. Like you're so close. You're right there. Meredith said that she's working on bringing a couple new ambassadors from the Roger call. That's so exciting. Need to get some new energy on the team. Yes, we're going to talk about that today. I'm so excited to talk about that and normalize that because it's just so important to do that. Okay, so Kristen said, and adding value to my wellness group is the positive. I love that that's a positive for you because it does feel so good, doesn't it? Just to like give them education, give them stuff that's fun. That's awesome. The struggle is that the sales are not there this month. Okay, we're going to talk about that. And then, yeah, talking about recruiting. Yes, I love that. You don't have to have a perfect strategy. You just have to be willing to kind of start talking about that. Um, okay, that's great. Let's see what else. Lauren, yes, Katie, I love that. No's are always not right now. It's not like a flat out no. That's so, so true. Lauren said that she feels great about all the action she's taken and all the loyalty orders that have come through this month. That's such a good feeling when you have customers that are finding new things to try. That's awesome. She said last night's call was so good and the belief in this business makes it easier to invite to this. Her struggle is more perspective. Sometimes she's like, why has no one purchased today? But in reality, she's making more than she was before. Yes, those mindset things can really get us, but we'll talk about that too today. Okay. Yes. Okay, awesome. I think I've got it all. If you're just joining us, I just asked if everyone could kind of share. I just wanted to feel how everyone's doing today. So if you can share in the chat, they're mowing our lawn right now. I'm sorry, it's loud. If you could share in the chat one thing that's positive right now that you're feeling good about in your business, and one thing that's been a little bit more of a struggle for you lately. Okay, yes. Christy and I just talked about this. I love that she's sharing this. She said the positive is that she loves seeing her team take action and break through. And the struggle is that her team needs to keep growing, so that she can keep doing this, the full time. Otherwise, just because of the big loss from body, she'll have to find another job to supplement while she rebuilds Shackley, which I love that we're being real about that. I love that we're talking about that because that's just the reality for a lot of people. Susan said that last night was amazing and her struggle is finding other women who also want to work. Okay. So I love all this. I love being real and I love normalizing the struggles because everyone feels them, right? And here's the thing. We go on social media every day, and what do you see from people? The highlights. Like you see everyone seems to have it all figured out. They all seem to like be posting everything and it's just great, right? Well, the reality is building a business, especially this kind of a business, especially after being like having gone through what we did at Body and all the trauma that we're sort of carrying with us from that, it takes hard work, and it takes a lot of strong, like you just have to be so strong mentally. And I think what can happen though, and what I don't want for us to kind of fall into is thinking that there's something wrong with us when things start to get a little bit hard in business, because really everyone experiences those things. So let's talk about recruiting, because that's come up a little bit here. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to talk about recruiting. So here's what I've kind of seen since we started this. So I started at Shackley like 8 months ago. And the reality is, in the beginning, you have people that join you because of the hype, because of the excitement, because it's something new. It's a new company, it's a new business. Like, sign me up. That sounds awesome. Especially when I'm telling them like how great Shackley is, it's like, yeah, that sounds great. Well, that hype gets you going, right? And it's awesome to feel that newness of business. I mean, we've all been there when we're just like, you just have that energy. You have that, like, this is so fun. And it's kind of like you feel like you're unstoppable and everyone's buying from you because it's new and you're posting and people are coming to you. And that is so awesome. And I'm so glad that it happens that way because it gives you the momentum to keep going. Well, then what I've seen kind of happen, especially like obviously we were here a little bit before the Body stuff, right? So then Body officially crumbled, like it was crumbling when I came, and then it officially crumbled. And so then you have people that come over that they're just like trying to figure it out. And again, we have like a wave of new people and it's great. Um, but then I think what happens is usually it tends to be, from my experience, around the 6 month mark, 5, 6, 7 month mark, is that's sort of where the rubber meets the road in terms of people deciding if they want to have, if they actually want to put the work in, if they actually want to have like learn the discipline that it takes to build a business and have kind of the behind the scenes things go on. And so what I've kind of seen too, it's been really a dumpster fire if you think about it, like from when Body crumbled, and then you have all these people. Like, I'm sure if you were at Body, you've seen this happen, but it's like your feed on social media is full of everyone going every which way to different companies. And then there's these new things that pop up and they're like shiny objects. And people are like, oh, maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll do this. Maybe I'll do this. Right. And at the end of the day, you can keep jumping to new things, but at the end of the day, in order to build a successful business, like you have to stick it out. Like there's just no other way for it to happen. And so I really believe that we're at this kind of point as a team where a lot of us are going to have to decide, am I going to be someone that truly develops discipline in this business? Or is it just going to kind of be something that I show up for when it's convenient? But the problem with that, the problem when you only show up when it's convenient, is that eventually you quit. Why? Because you're not actually making money. You're not actually moving anything forward. I hope it's okay if I just like shoot it really straight with you guys, because the reality is like I want all of you to win, and I know that all of you can win, but it does take like hard work, and it does take kind of fighting through a lot of emotional times, where you're sort of like, I think Lauren, you said you're like, I believe in this, I love this, but then it's like, okay, but can I really do that? It's like you have this moment of, and we all have it. Like I have it too, you guys. Like, trust me. Even this morning, I was like, all right, Jake, end of the month, we gotta get to 100,000. And I'm like freaking out. And he's like, it's gonna be okay. He's like, let's figure it out. Let's come up with a plan. But we all have those moments where we're like, do I have what it takes? Do I have what it takes to lead a team? Do I have what it takes to keep moving forward? Um, and it really is a matter of choosing to choose that faith instead of letting into that fear. And the awesome part is that when you choose to have the faith and you keep figuring things out, is that the fear kind of starts to not be as powerful in your life because you keep taking those actions. But when it comes to recruiting, sorry, to go back to recruiting, why is recruiting so important? Because of all these things that I've mentioned. You can be so excited, and I've seen it already in my 8 months here. you can be so excited about who joins your team, but at the end of the day, like they're not all as much as you think they are, they're not all going to stick with you and they're not all going to want it the same way that you want it, right? And so it is, and I've learned that lesson for sure. Just even as we've been going through this master coordinator hold of like the first month was pretty easy because everyone was still working. Everyone was new. Everyone was excited. They were all in. And now that we're like in the fourth month of the hold, I'm like, okay, yep, this is a great reminder. And I'm actually super grateful for the reminder at 8 months in that I have to be in offense. I cannot just be taking care of the existing team. We always have to be in offense and in recruiting because otherwise you'll be let down because you never can want it for people like more than they want it for themselves. But the thing is like the more, and it's kind of this cool thing, what I have always found to be true is like the more that you actually recruit, then those people actually want to stick around because they feel like, oh, I'm missing out. Like if I don't stick with this and they're going to keep going without me, like I don't want to miss out on that. So always focusing on, bringing new people in, if that's your goal to build the team. There's also the great part about this compensation plan is there is a great opportunity to just focus on personal sales too. So if that's you too, like if you're just like, I don't really want to build a team, then forget about this recruiting stuff for right now and just focus on personal sales. But either way, if it's just personal sales, then it's instead of finding new recruits, it's like finding new customers, right? You always have to be finding new people to kind of backfill. Um, so with recruiting though, I love that we have a CEO that's willing to like do a call like last night. Who had a chance to listen to that live or the recording? Did you guys listen to that? If you haven't had a chance yet, please do. I really believe it will help you to kind of get that fire back and to remember what this company is all about if you're feeling like you're kind of discouraged right now. Um, but what's so cool is we now have that recording. So when you have someone that you believe would be great at this. And I love the compensation plan too, because we don't want to just sign people up to fill spots. At Body, we had to do that because we needed that to hit different ranks. But here, like make sure that they truly like want to build with you. But if you have someone, that would be a great recording to send to them just to kind of give them like a first taste of what the company is about. I will say for me, when it comes to recruiting, that I love a one-on-one Zoom call too, just to touch base with them because I feel like that way I get to really know, who they are and I can answer their questions one-on-one. So if you're someone that's newer to the business and you have people that are like interested and you're like, well, gosh, doing a one-on-one call sounds kind of intimidating, grab one of us leaders, grab your upline, grab me, and just be like, hey, could we do a three-way call? I love three-way calls when you're kind of learning how to recruit because what can happen then is you can invite your recruit on, your upline can present the business for you, and you can kind of hear how she presents it or he presents it. And then the next time you have a prospect, maybe you could I would still invite your upline. And then the next time you can present the business, your upline can listen and like if there's anything that you miss, you can always do that. But for me, I feel like those one-on-one Zoom calls are great. Sending out the recording is great, but it's just so important to continue to bring in those new people in your organization so that you don't feel discouraged when people might take a step back. Because the last thing I want, and when you have people that take a step back on your team, never take it personally because that's just, it's not good for the relationship. Like the reality is God is going to call people to different things in different seasons. And so if there's someone on your team that ends up taking a step back, it's also not personal. Don't take it personal, but it's hard. It is hard emotionally to kind of get through that, but just know that that is part of it as well. Um, when it comes to recruiting, how are you guys feeling about it? Like, do you feel like you're confident to have a call with someone? You feel like, there's other things that we could do as a team that would be helpful for you? Was that call last night helpful? Um, Cassie, I just saw your comment. Yeah. As far as like the grief, that's so true. And just like the emotions that go through that go through your head. And it does take a lot of courage to like really decide, are you going to do this again? Because I mean, Cassie, you were like coach, and so that it just takes so much out of you to build that team. And so you have to really have that strong mindset to do it again. And it is not easy by any means. Um, that's awesome, Colleen. Can you talk a little bit about what you just shared about how like your confidence has come as you kind of figured out the personal sales side yourself?
Yeah. So what I said in the chat is that I've seen as someone who wasn't successful at body, and by not successful, I should say like I had a big like physical transformation, lost a ton of weight, fell in love with weightlifting. I've been like this person the whole time, awesome, lost and trash panda. Um, and I would have customers that would get success from programs sometimes. And we would have challenge groups where the messaging, a lot of times, even from other teams and uplines in the business, it was always like, have a challenge group, get your customers, in love with the products, and then transition them to be a coach once they get it. They've like been in the ecosystem. It never worked for me. The people who were successful as challengers were never the people that even remotely made an attempt to be a coach over there. Over here, I am trying not to let my biggest, bestest customers all turn into ambassadors because selfishly, like right now, it's not the best for me in terms of income. And I'm only letting the people that I know either were a coach with me at Body or really are so freaking in love with Shackley and the products, and they have people coming to them. My customers feel so good and are sustaining their progress so much better now that they're going places and people just flock to them and ask them, what are you doing? They're
Mm,
not sharing on socials. They're not doing anything like I am. Literally, they just look like they feel so good. All of their people are coming to them. So, two of my biggest customers transitioned to ambassadors earlier this month. Um, they've made some sales, but they're not at the point where I'm at, where it's like, this is our thing. Let's go. We're excited. Let's get in it. Um, but at the same time, I feel like we've got all of the tools that each person, no matter what you lost at body and what you've gained here, the tools are here. I leaned heavy into the longevity club. My first month here, not my thing. I'm not a consistency queen. It's taken me a while to get there. My customers that are in there, the best thing that Christy told me to do a few months ago was every person that posts about a product, comment on their post. You're supposed to be loving on people in there anyway. When you comment on someone's post that's talking about a product, all of your people that you invited to that group see your comment. They see everything you do in that group. So you're bringing their attention to other products they might not have been exposed to yet. They're seeing how other people are using them. They're seeing how amazing Cassie's face looks with the skincare, right? They're seeing me mix build into my Greek yogurt. The longevity club is where they're getting loved on, and it doesn't take extra time for me because the group has been created in a way to be self-sustaining. So if you're feeling stressed out about the amount of work you're having to do, get your people in that group. I don't care what they bought, get them in there. Let them feel the love and get more immersed in our community. And the people that are in that group also are the ones that continue trying more products, even if it's not something we've talked about. They'll reach out to me, ask about it. I send them links, or they'll just say, hey, I just added that to my next like loyalty order. So I guess what I'm really trying to say is too, if I'm being honest, I know what it feels like to be scared. I'm not replacing income. I'm just finally earning it. I left like 4,000 plus dollars a month when I was teaching, and I left because of a very specific situation. It's taken me this long to start building that back, right? But it's possible here. At some point, we have to be willing to let go of the feelings we have attached to body. This isn't body.
mm.
It's not Body. It's not Carl. This isn't the same team we were on. These are new people that come together. And at some point, it's not enough to be near the fire. You have to throw yourself in, catch on fire, and like, let's go. Let's go together. Sorry, I'm done. That wasn't meant to be a
No,
TED.
that's
Not excited.
I love that. I think that is like exactly like what we all need to remember, is that this is very different because I think there is this kind of fear of like being a little bit timid, like can I trust this again? What if I do all this work and then it doesn't pay off again? But it is different here. And Jake has to remind me of that too, because I fall into that too, when you pour your heart and soul into something, it takes a lot. It's a choice actually. It's a daily choice to remember that it's different. But we talk about that all the time. We're like, this is a different company. It's like people that work hard. And it's so interesting when we run the personal sales report. It's so interesting because it really shows that here, the like hard work is the great equalizer here. Like you don't get lucky here. But if you work hard, the people that work hard, every month they're doing great. And that doesn't mean that months are always going to be like this, like I think that's the other piece is just, and Christy mentioned this to me today. She's like, I think reminding people that not every month is going to be a record breaking month, but that doesn't mean that you should stop showing up with consistency because the months where they're not record breaking, consistency will still help you maintain where you're at. And so I think that's the biggest thing is like February, let's be honest, it has been more of a grind. I think we all feel that. I think the beauty event was like a huge help in the middle of the month, but it's just been a little bit of a grind. And especially since it's a shorter month, we feel that pressure. But those of you who are showing up with consistency are winning, and it's not necessarily, like I said, you're not making $100,000 yet, but you're doing great and you're winning over the long haul when you stick with it. Oh yeah, Colleen, please.
Sorry, you can tell I feel better today, so I'm getting like a little. Okay, long story short, Lonnie, who's one of the ambassadors, on my team. I have a team now. It's so exciting. Anyway, he had made a post on his page and someone lit up in his comments about how Meology is like Shackley's product, but it's an MLM. And it just took it down a very negative place. I thought he handled it well, but it inspired me. And then I made a post. And Cassie's comment up above kind of like brought this back to the forefront of my mind that there is, I'll be honest, when I got into body, I didn't know that it was technically an MLM, knew nothing about that. I also didn't realize when I decided to sell Avon because it's what I was using. I didn't know about MLMs until like it was like way too late and I was in it. Not to say that I would have avoided it because obviously like this is just kind of my thing. Here's what I will say. I've gone down some rabbit holes on the interweb. If you go to Reddit, if you find some of these anti-MLM people on YouTube, I don't encourage you to do this. I'm just saying I've done this and done research about other companies. Here's what I can tell you. I've looked for Shackley on these places. It is not there. It's
Hmm.
not there. The only post I've ever seen about Shackley is someone making fun of the fact that the founder was like really into carnivals or something. Well, but that's back in the day that was the entertainment before we had TV. Okay. So, like, come on. Also, I will say this here, and case in point, you can earn an income without having a team. You don't have to do that. If leadership isn't your thing, or if that's not how you want to capitalize on the comp plan, don't do that. You don't have to. That's why Shackley doesn't show up any of these places with any of these negative people because it's not, I mean, it's technically, but it's not. It's community marketing, it's direct sales. You can be in direct sales and it not be an MLM, right? So, just again, we have to let all the BS go. If you
Yeah.
focus on those things, then instead of going through the trees, you're going to hit the freaking tree. Stop focusing on the tree. There's a million things that can distract us from doing the thing that we brought here to do. Like, stop being distracted. Sorry. Can you?
I love you. It's so good. It's so good because it is like our minds are so powerful, right? And it's like when we can really just focus on the work and serving people and expecting that there's going to be good months and there's going to be harder months without feeling like we're a total failure. That's going to keep us going. There's a great podcast. I might have mentioned this already on the call and probably the chats because I've been obsessed lately listening to Bob Heilig. He had this podcast where he talked about how the biggest thing that's holding people back who switch companies is that they feel like they're failures because they're not where they think they should be, but it's only been a few months, you know? So like remember that we're just getting started here and just like it is different here. I mean, there's people that have been at Shockley for decades. You don't stay somewhere for decades unless you really love it, you know, unless it's a solid company. So I'm so excited and I just want to thank all of you too who are showing up with consistency and working hard and going through that hard mindset sometimes where you really do have to fight for that positivity because it's not easy. And I think that's the biggest reason why people ultimately don't stick with this because they just don't really care to put themselves in those uncomfortable mindset situations. So, okay, let's move on and really talk about, okay, so let's end February as strong as we can. I think we have a really, really exciting opportunity for us to end this month with the reset coming back. And then that can also carry into March. So, if you're new and you weren't around like the beginning of the year, when the reset originally launched in December, it sold out really, really quickly. I think that it was a lot more popular than people thought it would be. But the reason for that is because it's just so convenient. Everything comes in a box. All you have to do is pretty much buy it and go through it. And so, what we've decided to do, because I was kind of just trying to wrap my head around, all right, how do we really make the most of this new relaunch? Is we're picking a date to have a team-wide group. And I just want to say this too. This doesn't, if you want to promote this, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to do it, right? Like with everybody, because I know if you just did it, you may not like one necessarily do it again, but you could do a version of it without necessarily needing the box. Like you could still just say, all right, I'm going to clean up my nutrition. But I would encourage all of you to promote it because there might be people that are out there. I mean, when you think of March, there's a lot of people that are wanting to get ready for their spring break trips. There's people that just are like feeling the warm weather coming and they want to get back into good shape. So they want to kind of get rid of the habits that have snuck in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write a post for tonight. For anyone that wants to promote this with us, just basically saying, you know, we're doing this group, the reset group on March 10th as the start date. And again, they can choose, like we're running with that for like marketing purposes so that it's clear. But if you have someone that comes to you and they're like, that date won't work for me, that's okay. They can really do it any time of the month, right? But we just want to create that sense of urgency so that they are ordering. So I'm going to create kind of a template about the 5-day reset. I would love for us to collect before and after photos if you have them from when you did the reset. There is an album inside of our team page. So if you could um, post inside, it's in our team page, but if you could just put any before and afters, whether they're yours or they're other people's that you've seen floating around, if you could upload those to the album, that'd be really helpful for us to be able to promote it. But as far as like a photo for the promotion, you can either do a before and after of your own, or maybe just even a photo when you felt really great. And just kind of saying, I mean, it can totally be if you feel like your best right now, then say, I feel my best right now. If you don't and you want to get back there, then be real about that, right? Like, be like, I remember this photo when I felt so good. And so I'm going to do this reset so that I can get back to feeling like that. Wherever you're at, just, you can share that. But the point is, I will create some sort of template and then anyone that wants to, I'm planning to post around 8 p.m. Eastern tonight or whenever you can around there. And then we'll kind of do what we did with the beauty group where we just kind of go love on each other's photos. One of the things that I really do want to do more, and I was talking to Susan and Corey about this, just more like lead generator nights together. I know we used to do that with Body. They were saying they did that with Body, where you would have like 2 nights of the week. We always used to do Monday night and Thursday night, where we did some kind of a lead generator, whether it be a call to action for an upcoming group or recruiting or something. But I'd really like to get us on some sort of a cadence for that. So I'm going to be planning out kind of what that looks like for the next month or so. So I'll have that ready to go sometime later this afternoon and I'll post it to the chat. I would love for us to brainstorm real quick. When we were selling the 5-day reset in December, what do you feel like helped move the needle for those of you who sold a lot of those? Susan, I know you sold a bunch. Meredith, who else is on here that I remember selling a bunch, but Colleen. So what do you guys feel like resonated? What do you feel? I mean, obviously it was a different time of year, it was the new year, but how could we kind of, tweak that a little bit for this time of year? Any ideas?
I've actually gone back a lot and looked at because I had more success with the reset than anything. It
Yeah.
kind of surprised me. And so I started looking, well, one, I messaged quite a few people
Hmm.
and using what you had suggested, a way of inviting and then putting my own little spin on it. And then I think when they said they were interested, came back with, okay, well, here's a couple of choices for you. Instead of sometimes I'm like, okay, well, what about your goals? Or I mean,
Yeah.
you want to get to know the person, but sometimes it's just like, well, let's go, and we'll get to know you along the way. Or if you don't know their goals yet or something like that. But I think just like with anything, it's just getting out there, being excited about it. Just, you know, go, go, go.
Yeah, I love that. And your point is great on the personal invites. Like that is, I think when we talk about shifting our business now to where we really need to create that consistency, it is those behind the scenes disciplines. Because when you're really new, you can you can pop a post up and people will reach out to you. But I think we're officially kind of, if you've been here for a bit, that's like not going to work anymore. Like you really do need to now develop that discipline of connecting behind the scenes, inviting and following up. So I love that you said that. Would you mind sharing when you get a moment, not now, but would you mind going back and like maybe grabbing that language and popping that inside one of
Sure.
the or one of the messenger chats? 'Cause I think that'd be really helpful. Um, Colleen said 5 days, it's short. You can do anything for 5 days. I do love that. I think that's a great reminder for people. Um, they get exposed to all the products and it's done in a box. Yes, I love all the products in there that they get to try. That's so good. Testimonials will be helpful this time. I agree, because think about, we sold so much and we didn't even have any of the before and after testimonials. That's such a good point. Cassie said she's promoting the spring and spring break prep because she'll be doing hers before the retreat. Yes, yes, I love that. That always resonates. It always resonates when you want to get like a little bit swimsuit ready, you want to get, rid of the extra layer from winter. So I love that idea. And then Colleen said position it as a pre-spring break boost. Yes, I love that. I mean, and this goes back to what we used to do for those of us who were in fitness is, the before and afters, like as uncomfortable as they are to share, they always move the needle forward because it helps people to see what's possible and they can visualize themselves doing the same thing. That is crazy that summer is in 3 months. Other ideas, Meredith, what do you feel like worked well for you when you were promoting it?
Yeah, so the same as Susan, I sent out just a ton of private message invites. I mean, anytime that my ambassadors like struggle with sending out invites, I go to their page and see how many friends they have on Facebook, and I'm like, you have 3,000 friends, right? You can easily send out, you could send out 100 invites today, to the 5 day reset or whatever. So it's always the private message invites for me. And then talking about it regularly, talking about it in stories, going into my wellness community and talking about it live, and just several days of that. So that's
What would
it.
you say to someone, Meredith? Because I love that you just know that's what you have to do and you do it and it's just like clockwork. What would you say to someone who struggles with the personal messages? Like they're like nervous to get into that, nervous like how it will be received. Like how do you get yourself to stay in a positive mindset instead of feeling like, nervous about it?
I mean, I think that's the best thing that I mean, there's just if you're not making sales in posts, you've got to do something different. Like I think some people have to get to that point where they realize okay, I'm posting every day, but people still aren't buying from me. What's the missing link? It's always going to be the conversations. It's always going to be. And so just being like a little bit in your chats and your posts and your all different. But it's just making the people that
Sorry, my thing is like a little delayed, I think. So I'm getting it like a little after the fact. But yes, I totally agree with all of that. And it is so true and really how empowering it. Can you guys hear me? Am I choppy? Um, and really it is empowering, when you realize that you're not stuck just because people aren't reaching out to you, like that there is another way to help people. Because then when you master that, and I would say like the first several months I was at Shackley, I had the same thing. Like people, like people would reach out and then all of a sudden you're sort of like, okay, yep, time to do more private messaging. And so the last few months I've had to do a lot more of that. And it feels good though to kind of get back into it because there's this fear. It kind of feels like, oh, here we go again. I got to get back into my personal invites. But then once you just do it, you're like, oh, it works. So, okay, yep, this is what I need to be doing. So I do really love that advice. Yes, it feels good to focus on what you can control for sure. Okay, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing, Meredith. It's so good. And as you can see, Meredith is always at the top of the personal sales. So she's doing something right with all of that behind the scenes work. Okay, so any other ideas as far as the reset? What else do you think resonates with people? I always like to ask myself, okay, if I was on the other side of the screen, not at Shackley yet, what would I have to see someone post about in order for me to say, yep, like that's what I want to do? And I think you guys have some great ideas here. I know it would be probably seeing someone that looks like they're ripped in a swimsuit, and I'd be like, all right, yep, I want to look like that. I mean, that's what gets you to take action now, right? Instead of like waiting is like, well, I want to look like her. I want to feel like her. She seems like she's got the energy. So I love that. Lean into you and your niche. Okay, yes. I love that. Colleen. Oh, you're so funny. Okay, other ideas? Any other thoughts on this?
Well, I was going to share, in body, I remember a few times thinking, oh, I'm, I may be bugging this person. And then they would come back and say, thank you for not giving up on me. And I'm
Mm,
like, okay, whoa, that's a whole different perspective. And I think about my coach messaged me a few times to join body, and I just didn't answer because the answer was not yes and it wasn't no. So I just didn't give an answer. And so sometimes we take it that as, oh, they're ghosting me, but they might actually be thinking about it. That's what I was doing. I was like, I kind of want to, I don't know, maybe I want to do that. And so just think of it more as you're just loving on someone and making them feel welcome when you invite them.
I love that. That's such a good reminder. I'm probably similar to that because I don't want to disappoint people, so I don't want to say no, but I also am not ready. So I'm like, oh, just not going to respond. I love that. Thank you. That's such good wisdom. Katie, could you share too? Because your personal sales are rocking this month. What are you doing? What's working for you right now? What has worked for you in February?
I think a lot of it is just obviously consistently showing up and then our wellness community, like sharing products all the time, everything I'm using, everything that we're doing. And it's not just me, like it's being duplicated by the other girls in the group, but really, like I said, just sharing my own testimonials constantly over and over, having conversations, and it's just kind of been a lot more branching out, like people that I would have never talked to about anything body, or just was like, no, they'd never want to, like the ones that have expressed interest to be. The skincare thing was amazing. Thank you for putting that all together. Like that really helped a lot for people just to get excited and have different things. But um it's been a lot of, like I said, repeat customers now where they've gotten in with one thing, and now that they've been exposed, like you said, to multiple things in like the community, they're like, oh, well, now I want to try that too, or I got this now too. So that's been like a big wheelhouse. And then um the Hey Girl Take Your Vitamins thing has been very successful for our team and for loyalty orders continuing. I said nobody has, I'm going to say 95% of the people have gone beyond month one, and it's now month two, month three. So, I mean, just having that kind of consistent loyalty orders makes such a big impact, or doesn't make you feel like you're starting over necessarily every single month. So I think that's been big. We're going to read, I was looking at the calendar, like we're going to do another round like end of March, and as far as like for that. I wanted to branch off quick back to the 5 day reset thing. I had said our team was going to do a protein challenge anyway in March. We kind of with our in our community, and was going to have that protein week and use what the wellness tools were from the back office to kind of correlate with this 5 day reset. Um, but I'll shoot you straight to with the 5 day reset. A lot of people, when talking about it, it was sticker shock, right? As far as, I mean, it is more of an investment. And especially it's great for new people to get started, but we were kind of talking about with our current people who are in there already and have tried a lot of these things. We actually put together some different protein. Danielle was awesome with this. Put together some like different protein bundles for people as far as like for this challenge. So it was like the deluxe was with the 5 day reset, and then we kind of did a basics bundle and a mini bundle, like piecing together some of the high protein options from Shackley just for, like I said, to hit different price points, but also like kind of get some new orders in, or for people to be exposed to different products too.
That is such a great idea. Would you mind sharing those little bundles or whatever you're kind of putting together for that? I love that idea because yeah, sometimes the 200 is a little bit much, but that's such a great idea. Oh, so many good ideas. And the vitamins challenge too. Like I think that's just it's so simple and so smart. And so you guys are still just even a few months in, you're just sharing, like for anyone that doesn't know, you're basically just sharing, checking in that you take your vitamins, right?
Yeah. And even in our little, it's a group chat, vitamins chat, like we're throwing in some multiple, like I've thrown in like kids, like people have ordered kids vitamins because I've talked about the immunity gummies our kids love, or all of us have like, who are like using different things like, oh, the Good Gut and Go has been so perfect with vitamins. So some people are like, oh, maybe I'll add that to my order next month. So we also been plugging, just a lot of plugging in products in different places, not necessarily trying to sell, but just saying like, oh yeah, I use this every day too, and it's made a difference. So just always having so many different touch points with different people. Um, Even if, like I said, that's a vitamin focused group, but we talked about the beauty stuff or those kinds of things. So like I said, just getting different touch points to all your different audiences, whether it's social media in the groups you got, um, those kinds of things.
Love that. So smart. And it is, it's so true. Once they're in the door and they see like they can trust the company, then they're like, oh, I want to try this. I want to try that. I want to try this. So
Well, and
I,
that's where I talk about, that's where the recruiting part will become down the road easier. It's like that's how it always was worked for me with body. Is like obviously the people who have fallen in love with the things and gotten the progress, those become the products of the product become your best ambassadors down the road. So that's where I feel like now that I've been 4 months in or so, it's like now I can start recruiting because now I've got other people are starting to feel and see all these things, and where they can kind of be like, oh, I could go tell my mom, or I could do this too. So I think that's where too, like you got to look at the long term where these people aren't necessarily going to like, I've never been one that found cold market people going, oh, I want to grow a business. It's always been those people who have gotten plugged into the community and have felt and seen and truly believe in it that do become the best ambassadors down the road.
I love that. And that is definitely a long-term play. But I think, for people that build that way, you have more solid volume ultimately because they're all buying everything. It's not like, I'm going to try this business. And there's like people do it all different ways. There's some people that like more quickly, it just depends who you are and what works for you. I tend to be more on your end where that has always kind of been my jam is like I like people like the products and then they end up wanting to do them or like share them. So I really love that. And it's kind of like a lower pressure thing too, right? Where it's not like you have to I mean, Katie, you were the same way, this is a good example too. Katie was like maybe the last person from Body to decide to come to Shackley, like of a leader, like, one of them. And she like took her time and like, but now here she is, I mean, I think she'll probably go senior coordinator this month because Tessa is like super close to director and you've got Courtney close. But I think the point is that, sometimes people that take a little longer to decide, like I'm the same way. Like and when I decided to join track, it took me months to think it through. And so like some people, everyone just has a different approach to thinking through where they want to go, but you can't discount anyone just because they're not moving as fast. Like even on our team, I think it'll be really interesting because the people that peaked early, they may not be the ones that are ultimately going to be around forever, So the people that I know Corey, I see you on here too. Corey said she's the same way. She's like, I just steadily build. And she's like, I won't be your fastest builder, but I like to steadily build. And she's always had a successful business because she focuses on doing things that way. So, it's really cool to think about the long term, like you said, of like sticking with this. And of course, like the products really do sell themselves once you're going. Oh, you're so sweet, Katie. Um, Okay, anything else that you guys want to chat through or anything that's on your mind about building a business, about mindset, anything that you're thinking through that you think would be helpful to share? All right. Well, this was such a great call, you guys. Thank you for being on and masterminding and being real. And just again, whenever you need a little encouragement, like please reach out to someone, because usually, I mean, always everything is figure outable. It's just when you're in your head, that's the worst place to be. But once you just get it out, you're like, all right, I can figure this out. So, okay, thanks for tuning in. Have a great afternoon. We'll talk to you guys later.